Girl gives birth at the age of 5. Then the doctor discovers something shocking. The girl gave birth when she was about 5 years old, and then the doctor found something shocking. When a woman ovulates for the first time, which is around 14 days before her first period, she can become pregnant. Some women have this happen to them as early as 8 years old, or even before that. Most of the time, women start ovulating before they turn 20. Girls are most likely to have it when they are 12 to 13 years old. Young women should know that they will ovulate for the first time before they get their period. In other words, a girl can become pregnant through sex before she gets her first period. When women get older, they stop ovulating. This is called menopause, and it is the last time in a woman's life where she can get pregnant. If a woman is 40 years old, menopause could start, but most women go to the age of 51. As of right now, Lina Medina holds the record for being the youngest mother in all of history. She was only 5 years old and 7 months when she became pregnant and gave birth. Peru is a country in which she was born, and her birthday is September 23, 1933. Her father, Lina Medina, was a silversmith, and her mother, Victoria Lucia, was a homemaker. She was named after her mother. She was raised in what appeared to be an honest family. When she gave birth to her son named Gerardo in 1939, Lina Medina from Peru went on to become the youngest person to ever give birth. It was only the 5th year of her life. In early spring 1939, parents in a small village in Peru noticed that their 5-year-old girl started to get bigger in the stomach. Lina Medina and Victoria Lucia took their little girl from their home in Crapo to see a doctor in Lima because they were afraid the growth was a tumor. The doctors were shocked when they found out that Medina's daughter, Lina, was 7 months pregnant. Medina had a C-section on May 14, 1939, and a healthy boy was born. She became the youngest mother in the world when she gave birth. She was 5 years, 7 months, and 21 days old. The situation with Medina was so shocking that pediatricians were taken aback by it, and it gathered attention from all around the world, something that she and her family did not want. Medina has not yet disclosed the identity of the father to the authorities, and she and her family continue to avoid the media and any opportunity for an interview in which they may reveal all. In spite of the fact that the circumstances surrounding the birth of the world's youngest mother are still unknown, additional details have emerged regarding the manner in which Lina Medina became pregnant and the possible identity of the father. Lina Medina was born on September 23, 1933, in one of Peru's poorest towns. She was the 9th child of 10. It's clear that her family was shocked when they found out she was pregnant at such a young age. However, a pediatric doctor didn't think it was completely impossible for a 5-year-old child to become pregnant. Precocious puberty is a rare genetic disease that makes a child's body change into an adult's too soon. Medina may have it before they are 8 years old for girls and 9 years old for boys. Boys with this disease often get facial hair, a deeper voice, and big genitalia. Most of the time, girls with this disease will get their first period and breasts early. It happens to about 1 in 10,000 kids, and girls are 10 times more likely than boys to develop this way. In what way did she get pregnant? Most of the time, the cause of early puberty can't be found. However, new studies show that young girls who were sexually abused may hit puberty earlier than their peers. This raises the possibility that early sexual contact could speed up puberty. The doctor who wrote about Lina Medina said in a medical magazine that she had her first period when she was only about 8 months old. Other sources, though, said she started having periods when she was 3 years old. Either way, it's too early to start. More tests on the 5-year-old Medina showed she already had breast hips that were wider than usual, and advanced bone growth after puberty. However, it was clear that she was still a child, even though her body was still growing quickly. Who the father was of Medina's child? Early puberty helps explain some of how Lina Medina got pregnant, but it didn't explain everything. Since the odds were 100,000 to 1, it wasn't a little boy with the same condition. Medina never told the doctors or the police who the father was or what happened during the assault that made her pregnant. She was so young that she might not have even known herself. When asked about the father, Dr. Esquimela said she couldn't give a clear answer. Father Timberello Medina, a silversmith in the area, was briefly arrested for allegedly raping his child. He was later freed, and the charges against him were dropped when no proof or witness accounts were found to put him into custody. Timberello, on the other hand, strongly denied ever raping his daughter. Some news outlets thought that Medina might have been attacked during an unspecified event near her town in the years after her birth. But this was never proven either way. People from all over the world became interested in Lina Medina's pregnancy as soon as word got out. Peruvian newspapers tried to pay the Medina family a lot of money to speak, make a film about Lina, but they were turned down. At the same time, American media loved writing about the story and even tried to get in touch with the world's youngest mother. People even offered to pay the family to come to the U.S., but the Medinas and her family refused to talk in public. Some people were bound to say Medina's family was making up the whole story because of how strange her condition was and how much she didn't want to be questioned. Since more than 80 years have passed, this doesn't seem likely to be the reason. Medina and her family had not tried to make money or profit from that story, and medical papers from the time show she was in bad health while she was pregnant. Medina was only photographed twice while she was pregnant, and only one of them, a low-resolution profile shot, was ever made public outside of medical literature. In her case file, there are so many reports from doctors who handled her, as well as clear x-rays of her abdomen that show the bones of a growing baby inside of her. Blood tests also show she was pregnant, and all of the papers that were released went through peer review without any problems. But Medina has turned down every interview request, and she would refuse to talk to both foreign wire services and local newspapers for the rest of her life in order to stay out of the public eye. Medina still doesn't like being in the spotlight, it seems. Where did Lina Medina go? From what we can tell, Lina Medina got good medical care for the time and place where she lived, and her baby boy was born healthy. The baby was delivered by C-section because Medina's hips were still not able to get wide enough, making it unlikely that she would have been able to get a full-size baby through the birth canal. Lina Medina named her baby Gerardo, after the doctor who first checked on her. When he was released from the hospital, the baby went home to his family village in Tacrapo. Paul Kosk, an expert in child education at Columbia University, got permission to visit the Medina family 2 years after the baby was born. Kosk found that the youngest person to give birth was smarter than most people her age and that her baby was fine. Kosk said that she and the rest of the family loved the child and see him as a little brother. A doctor of obstetrics called Jose Sandoval wrote a book about Medina. He said that Medina often chose to play with her dolls instead of her child. For Gerardo Medina, Medina was like an older sister to him when he was a child. When he was about 10, he learned the truth. It's sad that Gerardo Medina died so young, at the age of 40 in 1979, because of bone cancer, even though he was healthy for most of his life. Lina Medina might still be living today, but we don't know for sure. She went to live a quiet life in Peru after her shocking pregnancy. As a young adult, she got a job as a secretary for her doctor that was there during her birth. This job paid for her to go to school. In about the same time frame, Lina also got Gerardo through school. She married Raul in the early 1970s and had her second boy when she was in her 30s. Medina and Raul were still married in 2002 and lived in a poor area of Lima. From a hormonal point of view, that first period, which usually happens when a girl hits puberty, is when she might become pregnant. However, there are some exceptions, and as we mentioned earlier, pregnancy can happen even before a woman gets her first period. Most of the time, these exceptions aren't a problem and won't even be noticed because teens and young adults shouldn't have sex because they could get pregnant if they do. Of course, people who want to have sex with kids should not do it. It's a sad fact that there are people who abuse children for sex. That's why I said abused. They can't give permission at that age. It's the grossest kind of rape we know of, but it does happen. The chances of this kind of rape leading to a pregnancy are very low, but it does happen. Because Lina Medina has always been shy around the spotlight, and because she was the youngest person in history to give birth, many are interested in her life and think it would be best if she stayed private. She would be in her late 80s today if she is still alive. Many people don't know much about Gerardo Medina, and they have been respectful towards the Medina family since the 80s. But being able to have children earlier is a clear flaw in the way we evolve, because a girl who gets pregnant when she is very young can easily die from the stress of giving birth, which also puts her baby in danger. Girls young as 9 to 14 aren't fully grown enough to give birth or be pregnant like older women. They aren't very big, and their bodies haven't changed and grown enough to be ready for birth. It is feasible to engage in a great number of foolish activities that we really ought not to be able to engage in. The concept of having a child at such a young age is one of those things that is extremely dumb. Having children, on the other hand, was a really significant accomplishment for us in our early years, before we had achieved such remarkable achievements as a species in terms of pure evolution. Considering that we are sexual reproducing, it is essential for our development that we are able to do so with as many people as possible, even when things aren't going well. Guys who are really ill or nearing the end of their lives, as well as guys who are severely injured or unable to move, are nonetheless capable of experiencing excitement. Putting an end to it is not simple. People who are suffering from significant illness can still have children using this method. It is possible that some men would think, even if he is clumsy and has a little accident all the time, I could make babies or start a new life even in my last breath. This is possible because gaining an erection is an instinctive process. This signifies that the child was sexually assaulted. Bear in mind, however, that the only time a boy can successfully conceive a girl is after he has reached puberty. On that basis of this, it's highly probable that a boy of 10 or 11-year-old could not cause a girl to become pregnant. Nevertheless, puberty does not occur at the same time for every boy. What do you think of this phenomenon? Let us know in the comment section below.